Welcome to Life, Death, and the Law, presented by the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen, hosted by attorneys Shawn Garner and Adam Hansen.
I think that the system is rigged. I believe that the states, the swing states, the Democratic Party, primarily right now, is focusing on what they need to do to get the election, the results that they need. And for example, Michigan already came out and said they are not going to have the election results on Tuesday night.
Arizona said that as well?
Did they?
Yeah.
So
they said it might be 10 to 15 days. So
right.
They're laying the groundwork, right?
They're laying the groundwork to say, how do we need to calculate this? Because, and I've said for a long time, the only way Arizona goes for Harris is if the Democrats need Arizona. Mm-hmm. If the Democrats don't need Arizona, then they won't pull that lever of the machine to release the electoral votes that they need, or the ballots that they need. And so I really do feel like at this point it's all rigged. And we saw that in the election for governor 2 years ago. For some reason, there was this anomaly with the computers, or not the computers, but the printers, where they were all printing out different sizes of the ballots, and those ballots weren't being counted, and those were on the election day, where primarily Republicans go out and vote. All the early ballots were fine, and it wasn't just one printer issue. There was like 15 different printer issues. They were all totally different issues with totally different software concerns. And that is more than a coincidence, and that it resulted in hundreds of thousands of votes being put into question. So that happens again and again. With Georgia, the voting machines down there, they had a big question as to whether or not there was internet access to the voting machines, meaning they could be tampered with through some outside source. And the fight for a long time was to get the actual voting machine and look at it and do an analysis to it to see whether or not it could be. And the Democrats, their fight was, no, we don't want to allow the subpoena of the machine to be granted. We don't want to give over the machine. Recently, there was a law passed in Georgia that all they wanted to do was count the amount of ballots that came out of the machine and make sure that the amount of votes cast by the machine were equal to the amount of ballots that came out of it, right? So if there's 1,500 put in, 1,500 come out, there's only 1,500 votes cast. If there's 1,600 votes cast, then that's a problem. They weren't even talking about what they were cast for, what candidate they're for. They're just saying, we just want to make sure that the paper that went in, the paper that comes out matches the number that the machine cast. So we know that the machine isn't being corrupted at that level. And the Democratic Party fought that. And the court ruled in their favor, the trial court ruled in their favor that, yes, this was an undue burden on the Secretary of State to do this, and therefore they're not, it wasn't the Secretary of State that was against it, it was actually Fulton County. And so the county recorder didn't want to have to deal with that. And of course, Fulton County is the county of
Fannie Willis.
Fannie Willis.
Good old Fannie.
And so, we can trust Fannie to make sure things are done correctly down there. So why do we need to count the ballots that go out of the machine?
I don't understand the logic here. And we've seen state by state, some of these right-leaning states, they start to glean or purge, let's say, is a better word for it. You would purge the voting rolls of just, let's say, dead people.
Yeah.
It's verifiable. It seems to me that we know who's dead. So we should be able to purge those records, and state by state we are seeing that these states are trying to purge their voter records, and it's just not happening. What would be the purpose of that? I mean, the Social Security Department knows who's dead, and it seems to me like a no-brainer. If you have dead people on the voter records, let's get them off. In Arizona, there has been a big movement. In fact, there's a lawsuit to remove 218,000 names because those individuals haven't verified their citizenship.
If you have questions or want to know more about something that was discussed today, please call the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen at 928-783-4575 or visit yumaestateplanning.com.